moving on from there, I believe he's actually about to start talking about, yes, about the conditioning itself.
Probably one of the top key factors in the fight game. If I go in there and I'm looking across the octagon at, say, Marco Huas, I think Marco Huas and I probably are equal as far as fighting skills, both standing and on the ground. It'd probably just be a mirror image. Now, for me to gain the advantage, I have to have better conditioning than Marco. Marco's a fantastic fighter. Marco, I think, swims, he runs, he works out just as hard as I do. What I have to do is I have to work out that much more harder. 2 times harder than him, 2.5 times harder than him, whatever it takes. Because during that fight, we're going to reach a certain point to where somebody's going to snap, both physically and mentally. And that's where the conditioning comes in, and you gain the edge.
Okay, that's very much a valid point, and it's something that every fighter more or less agrees on. Yeah, if you have 2 people of equal skill, it'll just come down to who can outlast the other. But of course, there are other factors that go into this, like some aspects of fighting, take a greater toll on the body than others. For instance, boxers generally require less strength or endurance than a wrestler, just because wrestling is so much more physically taxing on the body than boxing is. Until you start getting hit, of course, because, well, taking a punch from a professional boxer is gonna start screwing up everything immediately. So that's where the problems comes in there. But we're talking just the actual act of doing it yourself. Wrestling another person is more physically taxing than trying to box with another person up until you're actually getting hit. So that's one of the So generally, it also comes down to the specialty of the fighters as well. Like because if a person specializes in wrestling and they try to wrestle for the entire length of the match, there isn't going to be much reason to believe that a person of equal skill with slightly less intense conditioning could potentially outlast them if they're not trying to wrestle for the entire time. I'm not sure I phrased that in a way that makes sense. But okay, let's move on because we got a long video to get through.
Jump rope. I generally started jumping rope with a CD. I took my favorite CD, boom, shove it in the player. Next thing you know, I jump rope for the whole CD. After a while, you're thinking, my God, how many more songs are on this silly thing? And it's no longer your favorite CD. You begin to hate that CD. So you have to go down to the store and you've got to buy another one. And that becomes your most hated CD. This is what you got to do. You got to get into this focus. This is serious stuff. It requires a lot of dedication.
I remember I actually used this training method back when I had to do that weight cut. Cut for that kickboxing match a couple years back, because it was 40 pounds in 3 months that I had to lose. Never let another person arrange your matches. Every morning I would wake up and put on my hoodie and go out back and jump rope for the length of a CD. Fortunately, with YouTube playlists, I didn't actually have to use a CD. I just made made around the same length. Length of a CD, and went from there. But dear God, this is hard, especially because, well, I live in a northern state, and it was in the winter months. It's not that so much that the cold was bothering me, but inhaling the cold air throughout the entire time. Ugh.
Once I become loose, then I can go onto something and do what I want. I say if I get loose, I can go hit the bag. You can't walk up there and you can't hit the bag when you're all stiff and you're all tight. What you're going to do is you're going to strain something. You're not going to get the snap. Boom. You need a long reach. You need a snap. You got to use your hips. You got to use your legs. That's where the jumping rope comes in. Jumping rope will relax your whole body. Also, sometimes if you're too stiff hitting the bag, what you want to do is you want to get tired first, because you get tired, then you start concentrating more on technique rather than just run up there and boom, 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 boom. That's where the advantage comes in. You've got to listen to your body. You've got to figure out.
Okay, that's actually an interesting point he made there. A lot of people say you shouldn't you shouldn't train past the point of where you actually are feeling fatigue. Because you'll start making technical mistakes. But what he's saying here is pre-exhaust yourself a little bit before you doing the bag work. So that you're forced to rely on your technique to actually manage it. This is actually a really interesting point, because theoretically speaking, doing something with proper technique should mitigate your exhaustion, because you're putting all of the work into doing something throughout your entire body. Such as like the cross, for instance. You might just lean into it, rotate with just your midsection, and punch with basically just your back and triceps. But if you have to use your entire body, you're pushing out the back leg, rotating with your hips, push in with your psoas muscle, twisting at the obliques, tensing at the lats, extending at the triceps, and clenching at the forearms. Simultaneously, with it. So it does spread the fatigue throughout the entire body, and meaning it should mitigate fatigue, but also it makes it so you can't rely on strength, when you're trying to affect the bag. Like, some people say you got to move the bag. Some people say you're not trying to move the bag, you're trying to dent it. But regardless, oftentimes what you will see is people, will just muscle through with with minimal technique. But because they're using minimal technique, they can get away with, saying, get away with the idea of, I'm hitting it right, and I'm moving the bag quite well, so that means I'm doing good. But pre-exhaust them, and they do the same thing. They get almost nothing, because because that minimal technique isn't backed by the strength, meaning that minimal technique is no longer enough, and they have to actively use proper technique for it. So that's actually a very good, very interesting thing he said, and I do agree with this. It's just not something I would do myself, just because I'm in the school of I don't work well under fatigue.
Ways to improve your skill. If your skill level is here, you want to get it up here, you've got to listen to your body. It'll tell you how to do this. If you're too tight, then you're not going to improve. If you find that once you get tired, you're not relying on the strength, you start relying on technique. That's what you got to do. You got to walk into your workout room tired. That way you can start advancing in your levels. I'm sure you didn't buy this video to watch me stand here and talk the whole time. You want to see what I actually do. So I guess it's time to get involved in this. Again, I'm not Muhammad Ali. I can't jump rope like Muhammad Ali can. He's probably one of the greatest athletes to ever walk on the planet. I'm just a big dumb hick, and I jump rope as good as I can. Sometimes I can go for 1 minute straight, 2 minutes straight. Sometimes I get my foot caught up. I have to start all over again. That's just part of life. Just because you fall down and you fumble doesn't mean that you have to stay down. Get back up. Keep going. That's the secret to being the champion. There you go. Get tired.
Not gonna lie, I'm more impressed by the fact that he can do this while talking. I can barely. Remember there have been times where I tried to explain how to do something while on video, while doing it, and I keep screwing up because it's so hard to do it while talking. Like when I got the reflex ball, and I did the video with that. Whew, boy, that was hard.
Right up, keep going. Nobody's watching, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about. We all make mistakes. The secret is not to get rattled. You get rattled in the workout room. Then when you get in the competition, you're going to get rattled there. Practice. Whatever you practice in the workout room is going to come through while you're competing. If you practice getting rattled, well, then what you're going to do is you're going to rattle during the competition. Now, like I said, I jump rope for the length of a whole CD, but I'm sure you don't want to sit here and watch me do that. So what we're going to do, we're going to advance on to the next move. I drink a lot of water while I'm working out. Constantly keep your body hydrated. If you get dehydrated, you can't think. You get tired. What you want to do is maintain a large amount of energy while you're working out. Andy Carter here, one of my 4 sparring partners, like I talked about.
Okay, you know this was back in the old days of the UFC because you just saw a guy in a gi walk up. I miss back in the day when people were allowed to wear their uniforms. Now everyone just wears shorts. It feels so boring.
These guys are fantastic. These guys are what make you a champion, is your workout partners. If you go in there and all you have is a throwing dummy or a piece of silly putty, you're not going to be a champion. You need good, strong, tough sparring partners who are going to take care of you. These guys don't allow me to get hurt. These guys take care of me at all times. That's what you need. You need good friends. Then these friends advance into becoming family.
Yeah.
To get loose, we generally stretch out. After we're done with the stretching out routine, somebody will come over and they'll let me know that stretching's over. They'll let me know by just crawling on top. And when they crawl on top, we just lightly roll around. We're rolling around, we're laughing, we're playing. Because this is something that you want to do. You want to make sure that you have a good time while you're working out. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, then it's going to be a miserable experience and you're going to get burnt out on it. What I'm doing here is I'm stretching out. I'm warming the muscles.
Okay, so he's using. Okay, so warm-ups for that. Yeah, for him when he actually gets to the gym to work with his guys, is stretching and then some light grappling. Notice I didn't say rolling because this is not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Don Fry actually went on his said on his Toxic Masculinity podcast. I love the name of that podcast. He specifically said he doesn't use Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because it's just watered down judo. And I love that.
What I'm going to be getting into is doing this hard. Right now, I'm flexing all the muscles I can't flex while I'm stretching.
Speaking of stretching, better do some back tightening up.
This is what we're going to be doing seriously here in a few minutes. And it's not fun and games. It's a high stress situation. So now we have fun. We go half speed, probably not even half speed, probably just 10%. All we want to do is roll around. We want to get warm. We're not in here to beat each other up and hurt each other. We work as a unit. What you do also is you figure out your strengths and your weaknesses while you're just playing around. And he comes on top of me, we're just rolling around playing. I find out that I can't get a certain lock. I find out that I'm susceptible to a neck choke. Who knows? This is where you discover this stuff. This is where you say, hey, when we start working out, I want to concentrate on arm bars. I'm weak in the arm bar area. This stuff teaches you a lot. Not only does it warm you up, it also teaches you a lot mentally. It also teaches you a lot about your sparring partners. It teaches you, hey, I can trust these guys.
No comments there. That's just sensible things that he's saying.
Because if I'm just going real light and my partner decides that he's going to beat the UFC champion and hurt me, then I know I want to get rid of that guy.
Yeah, probably.
I constantly have people